Hi there, welcome back to the Garden of Epiphany, a women's health and wellness oasis. I'm your host, Raven Epiphany, and I'm so glad you decided to join us for another video. So happy Wellness Wednesday, and also happy February. It is now Black History Month, so happy Black History Month. I hope that this isn't the only month that you're learning about history in general and learning about the history of different people, but even if it is, hope you learned something new. I wanted to go ahead and plug our Black History Month series from last year. We talked about the health disparities that exist in the Black community. We talked about why a lot of them exist, and then I went through a couple of, the top disparities and how we can address them naturally, including heart disease, blood pressure, and diabetes. So if you have not watched that series, I encourage you to go back and do so now. I will go ahead and link it above, and I will make sure that it is in the description at the end of the video. Also, we just finished wrapping up our Cleaner Living series, where we were talking about how you can live a cleaner, greener life by switching over to natural products. We talked about things like your household products, we talked about hair products, and a few other things like home fragrances, etc. And so if you missed that, I definitely want you to go back and check that out, because it really gives you some practical ways to go ahead and begin switching out things in your life. And I also share a tool that I use to be able to decipher which products are healthiest for me. And then lastly, I wanted to say this was not directly a part of that series, but it is something I did last year that would definitely be helpful if that is something you are looking to do. It was our menstrual health series, and in that series I talked about natural menstrual products that you can use, as well as other things that you can do naturally to be at your best during your menstrual cycle, which really for women is the whole month. It's just that one part of the month where we have the actual bleeding, etc. So anyway, if you did not catch that series, I definitely say go back both and watch our Cleaner Living series, and I also included those menstrual health videos as well in that playlist, and I will link that above and in the description as well for your convenience. So today we are starting a new series actually, and our new series will be focused on natural remedies for different things that people tend to experience every day, from pain to stomach issues, IBS, etc., as well as just overall how you can address things from a natural perspective. But before we jump into me sharing those natural remedies, I wanted to circle back to something that I discussed. I think it was on Instagram. I don't know that it's on my YouTube page, but listening to your body is what is, what everything else stems from. How do you know what to do next? How do you know how to address certain situations if you're not hearing what your body is telling you? Now, I do want to give a little disclaimer that, of course, as Christians, as those who, are, walking by the Spirit, we don't do what our flesh tells us to do. We aren't ruled by our bodies. We aren't ruled by our flesh. However, God did create our bodies to operate in a certain way. And health and wellness and energy and happiness are things that are supposed to be a part of our everyday lives, right? And so when they're not, God made our bodies such that our bodies will give us signals as to what it needs. If you are not listening to those signals, or if you are silencing those signals, it will be harder for you to even know what natural remedies to apply, or that you even need to apply certain natural remedies. And so before we jump into sharing all the information about how to improve your sleep, or how to, get rid of pain or anything like that, I want to share with you some key pointers for listening to your body, so that, when we go into this next part of the series, it can be the most effective. So your body is speaking to you on a regular basis. This is everything from, the most basic levels, letting you know when you need to use the restroom. That is literally your body speaking to you and telling you that it is time to empty some things out. It can also, be, when it's time to go to bed, your body is tired. It'll let you know it's time to go to sleep, right? In today's world, our world is very fast paced. We are very productivity driven in a lot of ways. Not all of us, but in the way that the world is shaped, in the way that things are presented to us, especially depending on what profession you are in, what industry you are in. Things are very productivity based. And because of that, we are often conditioned to silence the things that our body is telling us to do in that moment. For example, when I was a teacher, I know one thing that we all had to be kind of trained to do was to hold using the bathroom until we had a break. That, is not necessarily how things are supposed to go, but that's just one example. If you are in corporate or you're in other spaces, It may be, anything from holding you needing to use the restroom to, drinking coffee instead of getting rest in order to be able to work through more hours. The list goes on. But regardless, we need to be able to address those things. We need to not be able to silence when our body is speaking to us. And so like a baby cries when they are in need, and there are certain cries that they give, and the mom is able to recognize it, and the baby coos when they are happy, and the mom is able to recognize that as well. Our bodies speak to us in that same way, where certain things cue us that we need certain things, as well as certain things in our body show us, okay, you're on the right track. I have all the nutrients I need. I have all the rest I need, etc. Keep going in this direction. And so for you guys that this may be foreign to, you're like, okay, listen to my body. Like, well, what does that even mean? Like, yeah, I go to the bathroom when I need to, but what else are you talking about, sis? So I am more so encouraging you to be intentional about noticing when you are hungry, when you are tired, when you're fatigued, when you're in pain, when you're in a good mood or a not so good mood, when you're feeling dehydrated, etc. Begin to actually actively notice these things. Even if you're not in a stage where you are ready to start addressing these things yet, be intentional about beginning, to notice when these things are happening, rather than overrunning and looking at your to-do list, or overrunning and looking at whatever you plan out for your day over whatever your body may be saying. Begin to just even notice these things before you're even ready to implement anything. Notice the times that you even begin to mute those signals. So after you've kind of noticed what your body is saying, start taking note of the times, the moments, the situations when you begin to mute those things and say, not right now, body, I don't have time to deal with that. For example, if you are trying to finish a project, I am definitely guilty of this in many ways. If I'm trying to finish a project, or I want to check off just one more thing on my to-do list, but I know that I'm hungry, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to finish this project and I'll just be hungry until I'm done. So just start to notice those moments when your body is speaking, and then when you are, deliberately saying, I'm ignoring this for now. Don't speak to me right now. Let me just silence and mute this so I can keep moving in my own direction. So how do you now that you begin to notice these things, now that you begin to notice, what you are silencing, you can begin to choose one area that you've noticed and begin addressing it this week. And so how do you respond to your body's cues? One, like I said earlier, first things first is to know that health and wellness, that energy, that pain-free living is supposed to be your portion. Like, that is supposed to be your normal. Even if pain on a regular basis has been your normal, even if, being tired has been your normal, I want you to know right now that that is not supposed to be your normal, right? And so now, how do you go about addressing when your body is cueing these things and telling you about these things? Anytime that you feel different from, your most healthy and well self, your body is letting you know that it needs something different. And so, like I said, our natural series is going to help you begin to address these things in specific ways. However, you can start even right now by, if you're noticing, for example, constant fatigue or tiredness, maybe set aside some time for some intentional rest. Set aside time to begin to go back to sleeping 8 hours a night, or however many hours that your body needs, right? If you're noticing that you've been dehydrated, or that you're dehydrated one day when you wake up, plan to drink more water that day, or to eat more hydrating foods, right? These are ways that you can begin to say, this is the cue my body is giving me. I'm tired all the time, and this is how I'm going to respond. I'm going to intentionally set aside time for rest. This is when my body's showing me I'm dehydrated. So now I'm going to be intentional about drinking more water today, or eating more fruits and vegetables that are, have a lot of water content within them, in order to address that. Also, your mood. So you can also take mental note of when your mood is off, like when you are feeling down or, depleted, emotionally. Take note of what you've been eating or not eating, take note of the environments that you've been in. And for ladies, I know one thing I do when I feel my mood shift in a dramatic way, and I'm like, there's really no other stimuli, I go back and I check my calendar real quick, and I'm like, oh, makes sense. My cycle's coming next week. Okay, whatever. Now I am able to, navigate in the right ways and begin working, my normal menstrual regimen to make sure that I am back to my regular self. And another big thing for those of us who are, believers is noticing, have you spent time with God today? Because that can be another thing that leaves you feeling emotionally or mentally off. And so that's another thing you can kind of ask yourself when your mood is off. And so those are just some smaller examples. But again, the things that I'm really challenging you to do this week are: 1, start listening, noticing those cues of what your body's saying. 2, notice when you are silencing those cues, those moments when your body is clearly speaking to you and you are saying, not right now, I don't have time for that, right? And then 3, start choosing one area. I'm not even going to challenge you to address all of them, but choose one area out of those things you notice and start actually responding to it with some sort of, remedy that you can come up with. And again, I will come back soon to help you with some others, right? And so as you do that, you will begin to notice things begin to change in your body, or you are able to notice, I've tried everything, and so maybe it's something different, right? But it's important to listen to your body and address those things so that you know when things need to be escalated to a different level, when you may need to see a medical health professional or whatever else. But yes, this is where it all starts, like being able to listen and hear what your body's saying and then be ready to address it, right? And so that's the end of today's video. It was quick, short. This is just an introduction to what is to come. And so if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and get them ready for our natural remedy series. If you have not already, please subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for our natural remedy series. Have a healthy and wholesome week, and I will see you guys back here on Faith Friday.